On June 26, 1972, the body of a young woman was discovered in a third-floor room of the Tokyo Shimbashi Dai-ichi Hotel. Her body had been covered with a bathrobe from the hotel, her dress and her underwear, and a later autopsy determined that she had been strangled, either with hands or a belt. But who was the woman? Who attacked her? And why? To this day, police still don't have answers for at least two of those questions. The woman was quickly determined to be Taniwaki Kinuko, a 37-year-old dentist from Kumamoto. She had travelled to Tokyo with two male dentists to attend a workshop held by the Japan Dental Association. This workshop ran from June 25th to June 26th. After the workshop on June 25th, Taniwaki and her two acquaintances had dinner at a yakitori restaurant in Yurakucho, and then Taniwaki told the men she wasn't feeling too well, so around 7:30 p.m. she returned to the hotel. She didn't get back to the hotel until after 8 p.m, and, in the meantime, the other two dentists went to watch a film. But as soon as she got back, Taniwaki immediately returned to her room, 304 on the third floor, to lie down. While watching the movie, one of the men said he was also feeling unwell and returned to the hotel shortly after 8:30 p.m. The other man returned after 11 p.m, and then both men left the hotel together again before returning around half an hour later. Once they got back, they visited Taniwaki's room to settle the bill for dinner. There was a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door, and when they knocked, there was no response. They gave up and returned to their room for the night. Around 9 a.m. the next morning, the men grew suspicious when Taniwaki had yet to appear for that day's workshop. Again, they went to her room and knocked on the door, but there was no answer. This time, they asked a staff member if they could unlock the door because Taniwaki wasn't answering. And when they got inside, they found her body lying on the floor. She was dead. The police were immediately called, and an investigation was underway. They determined from the contents of her stomach that she had died 1 to 2 hours after eating, meaning that she likely died shortly after 8 p.m, and neither the bed nor shower had been touched. This indicated that she had died shortly after entering her room. Because there were no signs of a break-in, police also surmised that she must have known her attacker, and perhaps even invited him in. They also discovered that guests in the neighbouring room and the rooms below heard a woman scream, "Help! Somebody come!" However, none of them alerted the front desk or police. There were a lot of guests staying at the hotel on that particular night. Taniwaki's floor was entirely booked, and reportedly they thought it was a private argument that they shouldn't get involved in. Taniwaki also had subcutaneous bleeding all over her body, indicating that she had fought back hard during a violent attack. The police also found DNA belonging to the attacker, blood type O, and numerous fingerprints around the room and on the clasp of Taniwaki's bag that didn't belong to her. She had brought 500,000 yen in cash to Tokyo with her, as well as a check for 160,000 yen that was to pay for dental equipment. Neither of these were touched, although they believed a small amount of cash had been taken from her handbag. Naturally, their suspicions first turned to the two men with her from Kumamoto. However, the men had an alibi for the time. They were at the movies, and neither of them had type O blood. It couldn't have been them. After that, police turned their attentions to another acquaintance of Taniwaki's, a dentist 2 years her senior, who she knew from university and now lived in Tokyo. It turned out that this friend was actually having an affair with Taniwaki, and whenever she attended the workshops in Tokyo, generally held once a month for 2 days, they got together for a secret tryst. When Taniwaki and the two men arrived in Tokyo on June 24th, the night before, she told the men she was going to visit her aunt, but instead met with her secret lover. However, once again, this man didn't match the DNA or fingerprints they had from the crime scene. It wasn't him. Police then turned their attentions to yet another man Taniwaki knew in Tokyo, someone she had met while dancing. She greatly enjoyed dancing and often visited dance halls in Tokyo with her gown and shoes. But this man also had an alibi and was removed from the suspect list. Police uncovered a salesman that Taniwaki was supposed to see the same day she died to pay for some dental equipment. But again, his DNA and prints didn't match. Police then wondered if perhaps Taniwaki had been expecting a visitor, despite telling the two men she wasn't feeling well, because she stopped to buy some fruit before returning to her hotel room, perhaps in anticipation of a guest. But if so, they were unable to find out who. With that, the case stalled. The police had the necessary evidence on file to identify the man, but all of their suspects were cleared of suspicion. But then, roughly 2 months after Taniwaki's murder, another incident took place in the same hotel. Around 11 p.m. on September 4th, a man attacked a woman about to enter her room and tried to steal her key. She was able to get away from him and locked herself in her room, but about 2 hours later, he called her room and asked her to go to dinner with him. Scared, the woman called the front desk and they alerted the police. Because the phone was an internal line, police assumed the man to be another guest at the hotel, and considering what had happened with Taniwaki only 2 months earlier, they thought the two incidents might be connected. However, once again, they were unable to discover who the man was. Ultimately, police investigated around 4,300 people and checked the fingerprints of 54,000 people, but they were unable to find any solid leads. On October 20th the following year, the investigation headquarters for the case was disbanded. Since then, the statute of limitations has also expired, so even if the killer was ever found, nothing could be done. To this day, the case remains unsolved. But what did you guys think of this one? What do you think really happened? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to help support this channel so you can see more content like this, please consider hitting that join button down below as well. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next time.